Hi everybody, welcome back to Eileen's Craft Nook. Today I am going to be doing some Northern Light pendants. So I thought it'd be nice, or keychains. I thought it'd be nice. I have this pretty little wolf mold. So I thought I would use this because wolves and Northern Lights seem to go together. So I am just going to get this. Today I'm going to be using black. This is from Recollections. I'm also going to be using the leaf green from Recollections. These are both pigment powders. And I'm going to be using blue and blue-green micas for the night skies. I also have this glow-in-the-dark powder. I got this from Amazon. I will link it if it's still available. And this, I'm going to be adding this to the green for glow in the dark. All right, so I'm just going to get my resin mixed up and then we'll be right back to get started on these. All right, we have our colors mixed up. So I'm going to add some of that glow powder to the leaf green, as I mentioned. I'm going to give it a good amount because I do want it to glow. I don't think that powder has much color on its own. That's why I'm adding it to the existing green. All right, so I want this to kind of look like the night sky. So I want to start with the darkest colors and then go lighter as we come down. So I'm going to start with a little bit of black up in the top in the heads, and then we're going to add the darker blue and then the lighter blue, the turquoise green blue, and then the leaf green. So I'm going to start off by adding the black to all of them. Be careful with the black, it can take over. So you don't want too much in there because you don't want, the black should just be, a little part of it. You don't want it to take over the rest of the colors. So I'm using a popsicle stick just to help so I'm not putting too much in there. So I'm going to move on to the blue, the dark blue, and do that the next layer in the dark blue. This is such a pretty blue. And like with the black, we don't want to put too much in there. We are going to be blending these colors a bit when we're done, just to get them so it's not a striking line between each color. We want them to blend in with each other. So I'm just going to add a little bit again, just using the popsicle stick to help so that we're not adding too much color into each of these. The next color is that turquoisey green. I think it was called blue green on the bottle. We're just going to add a little bit of that into each one before we add our final color, which is that leaf green with the glow powder in it. And we want that to be the bottom color for each of these. And I'm just getting into all those little legs, which takes a bit of time. And I can see, like in my bottom where where the black and the blue are kind of, took over that turquoise green, but that's okay. We'll make it work. And here's my impatience coming in, trying to get this green in without fiddling with it a whole lot. Okay, so now we'll just take our little dotting tool and we'll just kind of try to blend these colors. I'm trying to blend them up so some of that leaf green kind of comes up into the wolves, and where needed, I might add a little more color in where the color has disappeared, like in this bottom one. That black was really taken over. It's mostly just because the way this one's shaped didn't add a lot of space for the different colors. So I'm just adding the colors back in to see if we can get a better blend. And resin's going to do what resin does, so you know, as it dries, they'll blend a bit more as well. Okay, so I just fiddled with these for a couple minutes. I was going the wrong way. I didn't want the black coming down, but so to prevent that, you should probably just take your pen, your little dotting tool, and wipe it off each time, which I discovered, as you can see, so that black wasn't coming down into my green, because I didn't want that. Okay, so we'll let these dry, and once they're dry, we'll move on to the next step, which is giving them some more detail. All right, we're ready to move on to the next stage. Now, in the video, it's been a second, but it's actually been almost 2 weeks since I've touched these, because I went on a trip to go see my mom in Florida. So it's been a while. I didn't do any posting while I was there. So what I have is I just have some inexpensive black paint. This is from Dollar Tree. It's called Lamp Black, but any paint will do. I did initially try this with a marker, and it's like a fine tip paint pen, but I found it was, even with the paint pen, it was too thick because these are so small. So I got a fine tip paintbrush, finest that I have. If you had something that's finer, even better. And I took my paint and I actually mixed it with a little bit of water just to thin it out. And we're going to try our best here to make the fine lines to make our trees. So I'm just going to, and if you don't like it, just erase it. Not erase it, sorry. Just wipe it off and start over. Now, painting, freehand painting is not really my strength, but we're going to do our best here to just make some evergreens on each of these wolves. And you want trees of different heights. And I'm not trying to come in full black, or they're not going to be perfect because this is so small. It's going to look kind of abstract anyways. So just want to hopefully not mess it up too bad. Okay, that's it for that one. We'll go on to the next one. Now, I'm not going to video all of these because it would take too long. Actually, I'm going to make these a little bit darker. Try. So I'm just going to do a couple on camera, and the rest I'll do off camera because it's going to be time consuming. So let's move down to this guy down here and try to make our fine lines. And when you do the branches, you want to kind of offset them from each other. Now I am going to be using UV resin on these to seal them. So that's why I'm using paint. I'm not worried that of it coming off, because I do plan on finishing these with UV. And I'm also going to add a little bit of white specks to give it more of a starlight, stars in the sky type of look. So I would suggest just taking your time with this. If you don't like it, just have a wet cloth, baby wipe or something handy. You can wipe it off. But also, before you decide you don't like it, just take a step back and take a look at it, because, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but it might look better than you think. Okay, and you're definitely going to want to let the paint dry completely before you add any sort of UV resin to this. All right, I'm going to do one more on camera. I think I'll do this guy here. And I'm just lightly, very lightly applying the paint. It may, hopefully it's not too light. I want it to show up. But I don't want, if I press too heavy, my lines get to be too thick. Okay. I'm just going to make these a little, once it dries, just going to make these a little thicker. Might went a little bit too light-handed so that they show up a bit better, like so. All right. These were the extras I had. I decided to do the polar bear in the same type, but I ran out of the green. So I didn't have enough green for all of them. But I'll do the same thing with these. With the trees. I'm just going to refresh my paint. And I am going to do both sides. I can't remember if I mentioned that. So when I do the other side, I'm going to top these up in the mold. And then when I take them out of the mold, I'll do the other side and top coat them with the UV resin. So that they're double-sided, which when I do keychains, I like to do them double-sided. Because normally if you have a keychain, people are going to see it from both sides. Now, you have more space in these, so, you know, you can add more at varied heights and whatever. Okay, I'm going to finish the rest of these off camera because you got the idea what I'm going to be doing, but this will take a little while, so rather than keep you on here for a long time, I will be back once I've got these done. So I'll show you up close. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, I have my trees added. Now for the next step, I wanted to add a little bit of white specks to be like stars. I maybe should have done it before I did the trees, but that's okay. You can use a toothbrush for this. I didn't have an old toothbrush to use, so I think I'm just going to use a paintbrush. So I have this one. It's kind of like a fluffy one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip it in I have a little bit of white paint on my thing here. And I'm just going to dip it in lightly. And I'm just going to use my finger. And I'm going to... Actually, I'm going to just practice off to the side here. Let me see. I want to see what happens. So take it and... Yeah. Okay, that's what we want. So I'm just going to take it and... Get a little more paint. And flick, flick, flick. Is it coming off? I think I need a little more. This is a chalk paint and might be too thin. It's a pretty thin paint. Let me see if I have a regular white. Okay, I just found a white deco art. Let's try this one instead and see if it shows up any better. Okay. Now, I can see the specks. I'm not sure how well they're showing up on the camera. They're very fine. Let's see if you can see them a bit better on here. Toothbrush probably work a little bit better if you have one. Got a little bit too much on that one little spot, so I'm just going to wipe it off and give it another little. Okay, and so that's it for this side. So I'm going to top coat these in. I'm going to let the paint dry and then I'm going to top coat them. So I'll be back when I'm ready to top coat. All right, I actually decided to use epoxy since these were in the molds already. I thought it'd just be easier. I need to order some UV. So I'm going to save my UV for the other side and just top these off with epoxy. Since they're small, I'm just using my dotting tool to just add a little bit in just to top these up. And I'll do that with each of them and with the bears, and then we'll let these cure, and then we will do the other sides. Okay, these sides are dry, this side's dry, so I'm going to take them out and I'm going to do the other side. Now the other side, you'll see they're not as well blended because when you put the resin in, it doesn't blend as well. It just kind of lays where you put it. So, but we'll add the trees and everything in, even though it's not blended as well. These ones I'm not going to do the other side because this mold I had put, I've forgotten I'd put some, I was going to do it before and I had put some powder in there. So they're just going to be the one-sided. I got to clean those up. So we're going to get these all popped out. I'll show you what the other side looks like on these. You can see they have, oops, one just fell out, a lot more green on them. So this side will definitely glow more. But the blending is not near as nice as it is. Okay. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take these two little guys out because I'm done with them. I'm going to do the same with the white paint as I did. So I'm just going to grab a little cup here. And I'm going to throw some white paint on it. And I'm pretty sure the brush I was using is still in my kitchen, so let me find something else to try. Whoops. So I'm just going to try this guy. He's a little bit big, but should be fine, I think. Okay, so we're just going to just like that. Get paint all over the place. Okay. All right, next we'll get the black paint. I'm just going to grab another little cup here. Give my black a shake. And I don't know what that is. Feels like uncured resin, but it shouldn't be. I haven't poured anything earlier today. I'm going to do a couple on camera, but I won't do them all because once you see me do a couple, you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. It's the same as what I did yesterday. Well, not yesterday to you guys, yesterday to me. All right. So I'm just using a little fine bristled brush. The finer, the better. And I'm just going to roll it in the black. And let's start with this guy. Just going to draw some lines. The finer brush that you can find, the better. If you have the long bristled fine brushes, you probably find those even better, but I couldn't find mine. I used to use that one when I was doing ceramics and stuff to do the eyes. Sorry if you guys can't see what I'm doing. Maybe I can bring you a little bit closer and try to keep this where you guys can see it. There. Is that better? It's just a matter of getting an angle where you can see and I can also see well enough. If you had a tiny, normally if I'm doing this on a larger painting, I'd use a fan brush to do the trees, but I think this is too small for that. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Move this guy out of the way. Maybe I'll do the bear. Okay. Okay, so we have definitely a larger surface here on the bear. So let's see what we can do. You'll do some larger trees in the front and some smaller ones in the back. Sorry, I'm quiet, guys. I'm kind of concentrating on this painting. Oh, a little thick there. Let's see if we can cover up some of this where it has kind of like that. Although I really do like the blue in this one. I like how that turned out. It's pretty. Make sure I'm not doing... That tree is crooked because I had my bear on a angle. They're all a little crooked. Don't paint on an angle. Try that again. It's like the wind's blowing. It's a windy, starry evening. Let's do a couple of small ones. Make it a little thicker back here. Okay. All right, guys, I'm just going to finish the rest of these up, and then we'll be back to put our UV resin on. All right, paint is dry, so let's go ahead and get these. I'm going to top coat them with UV resin on this side. The other side has the epoxy resin on it because they were still in the mold. So I'm going to do a couple on camera, but I'll do the rest off because once you've seen it, so most of you have probably seen this if you're experienced with resin this many times. And if you're new, you'll get the gist of how this is done by watching me do it a couple times. So I'm using the Nick Pro UV resin. I've had this for a little while. I really don't have a preference for UV. This one's fine. I also like the Let's Resin UV resin. I usually just get whatever. I don't normally go for the off brands of UV resins. I do like to stick with, like this is the Nick Pro, the Let's Resin. I can't remember what the other popular one is called, but I would normally stick with one of the more popular brands than get in an off-brand. You might get the off-brands a little less expensive, but unless I saw somebody use it and, you know, give it a good review, I may not use the lesser known brands. And I usually get my resin my UV resin from Amazon. I wait for times like the Prime Days or Black Friday, stuff like that. Normally you'll see them go on with a coupon or a percentage off. Same with the epoxy resin. I do the same thing. I look for a time when they tend to have the sales on. I like the Let's Resin epoxy resin, and I normally get mine directly from Amazon. I have a string. There we go. Now the way I do mine is I just like to normally pour it and then kind of pull it to the edges. UV resin will normally, you can get it to the edge without it flowing over. Do be careful. And just, you know, you might have to look at it in a different light in order, kind of look in a different light, make sure that you've gotten it to the edge. And then I just use my lighter to maybe not. I think my lighter's done. All right. Okay. I have this one. There we go. Just getting bubbles out, and then I love my Let's Resin UV light because it will cure from both sides. I don't need it to cure from both sides with this because it's only done on one side, but this light is very nice. Highly recommend. All right, I'm going to put it under the light for 3 minutes, and we'll do one more. This one has a lot of white on it. It's a very starry or snowy. Maybe it's like the Milky Way. I was going to wipe it off, and then I changed my mind. I left it there. I'm almost out of this UV. I'm going to have to go on. I remember the very first time when I watched somebody do resin, and they did UV resin, and it's what got me interested. And so I went on to Amazon and ordered some UV resin. It was an off-brand. I don't remember what it was. And I ordered a couple small molds, like earring molds, I think they were. And I just did not get the nerve up to even try it when I finally did get the nerve up to use it, I opened up the bottles and they were they were so thick you couldn't even use them. So they went to waste. So UV resin will go bad over time, just so you know. At least that stuff did. I've never had anything go bad on me since then, but now I use it. I'm not afraid of it anymore. But yeah, I think I had it. I must have been over a year I had it here. I never used it. I'd watch videos and then just never had the nerve. I'm glad I did eventually start using it. Okay, I'm going to stick that on the tray with the other one. All right, I'm going to finish these off camera. I'll be back when they're all done to show you what they look like. All right, our wolf pack is done. I did add some keychains, not to all of them, to most of them. So now one side of these is UV and the other side is epoxy. I'm not sure that most could tell the difference. This is on this guy, the epoxy side, and the UV side. This side's darker. On this guy, even I have to look because I can't tell for some of them. This is the UV side, and this is the epoxy side. So you can see this guy got a little pink dot, and I'm not sure how that happened. I really like these. They do glow, so I will show you how they glow. And along with those, part of our extras was our little bear family as well. So there's Mama Bear. There's the other side of Mama Bear. Which side do you prefer? The little baby bears are only one-sided because the other side, the mold had some powder in them. But there you are. Okay, so let's get the lights out, see if I can show you guys how these glow. Just a minute. All right, here they are, all charged up. So if you had these as a keychain and you were outside in the sunlight in the night, they would keep a charge for a little while, not long, but there they are. Aren't those beautiful? All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Oh, I wanted to show you let me just flip them over here for a minute. I'll show you they do glow from the other side as well. Let me just flip a couple over, turn that back off. See, they glow from both sides. I haven't even charged the other side up, so there you are. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.